Hi everyone, happy Friday. I hope you are all doing okay on this beautiful sunny day. Well, probably not everywhere it's a sunny day, but here in Belgium it's a beautiful day. And I had a really interesting situation with a client this week that made me think of a nice metaphor for dissociation and how to recover from dissociation. The reason why I like working with metaphors so much is just because sometimes it's so difficult to understand what's going on and it feels so complicated and so complex. But when we can kind of bring it down to a metaphor or a simple symbol of some sorts, it helps us navigate more complex topics like dissociation and heavy anxiety a lot better. And so the client that I was working with, the metaphor I was using is imagine that there's a little rabbit, a very scared, very traumatized little rabbit. And this little rabbit thinks that, the world outside is too scary, too difficult, too uncomfortable to deal with. And so what the rabbit does is it digs a little hole in the ground and it decides to just hide there. And that's what happens with dissociation. Dissociation is the animal brain in us, the inner animal in us that feels so unsafe that it just decides just no longer to engage, to be present, to really fully throw itself into the present moment. And so it hides away. It withdraws from reality. It withdraws from the present moment. That's what dissociation is. It's a part of our brain deciding that the real world and real life the way it is, whatever it might be about it, is too unsafe to be in. So this little rabbit digs a hole under the ground after being traumatized, after being hurt, after being violated, whatever, and it decides to just hide there. It says, "Hell no, I'm not gonna deal with the world anymore. I'm just gonna hide in my hole and I'm gonna stay here, and that's where I'll be." What we then do is, because we have this dissociation symptom and we feel like it's wrong and we feel like we can't have dissociation, we can't have depersonalization, we can't have derealization because it feels so wrong. So what we do is we try to force the rabbit to come out of the hole. We pull it out. We take it by the leg and we try to kind of pull it out. And the more we try to pull it out, the more the rabbit feels like it has to dig deeper, because it's like no one's leaving me alone. I need my safety, I need my comfort, I need my reassurance. So it keeps digging further and further, and the more we try to pull it out and force it to come out, the more it will feel the need to dig that deeper hole so that it can be left alone. This shows the importance of working with your brain in recovery, working with the little rabbit. Because when we're experiencing all these scary dissociation symptoms, something we often forget is that it is happening for a reason. Your brain never does something just because it thinks, why not? Your brain creates symptoms to protect you. And so if you look at the metaphor of this little rabbit, if we want to get the little rabbit to come out of the hole again, the last thing we're going to do is pull it out. Because even if it succeeds, and even if we succeed and bring it back out, the act of it needing to be forced to come out will be so traumatizing that it will just want to go back into the hole. And so what we want to do is we want to actually go into the hole with this little rabbit and say, hey, is it okay if I sit with you for a bit? And that we hold that rabbit's hand and that we say, it's okay, I'm here for you. I'm here. You don't have to come out if you don't want to, but I'm going to sit here right next to you, and I just want you to know that whenever you're ready to crawl out of the hole again, that I'm here to hold your hand and I'll be lovingly carrying you through it. And that sort of loving compassion will make that rabbit feel so safe and so seen that it will naturally feel like it wants to crawl out again whenever it feels ready. And that's a good metaphor for acceptance in recovery, what I talk about so often, the concept of acceptance and why it's so important. Accepting your symptoms is stopping to try to pull the rabbit out of the hole and instead actually working on sitting next to the rabbit and holding its hand and saying, I got you, I'm here. I'm not going to force you to go out because I know you've gone through a lot. And that reassurance, that love, that compassion is what will make the rabbit feel like, oh wait, there's actually more safety in the world than I thought. Maybe I am cared for enough to eventually crawl out again. Maybe I am protected enough, taken care of enough to gently take a step outward again. But whenever we are forcing symptoms to go away, whenever we are compulsively trying to recover, compulsively trying to watch YouTube videos on how to make your symptoms stop, instead of actually asking, why is this rabbit hiding in the hole? And if I was really picturing it like that, the rabbit feels whenever you're going in the hole to try to get it to come out. The rabbit is very smart. The rabbit knows, I know what you're doing. I know you're not sitting here because you really want to comfort me. You're sitting here because you're trying to convince me to crawl out again. I'm not going to do that. So the rabbit knows your intention. Your DPDR symptoms know your intention. If your intention is, you know what, I'm going to do this meditation, I'm going to sit with it, so that then the rabbit will come out again. The rabbit will feel that manipulation. Your brain will feel that manipulation. Your brain will feel that it is not authentically being taken care of. And so it won't do anything. But if your brain feels, if the little rabbit feels that the only reason why you're crawling into the hole with it, why you're sitting with it, is because you genuinely say it's okay for it to be there and that you'll just hold its hand and that you have no further intention, that amount of acceptance and love and compassion is what will actually heal the little rabbit, what will actually make it feel safe again, to then maybe eventually crawl out again. But if your intention is in any way to pull it out of the hole, it will only see that as reinforcement to stay. So I hope this metaphor gives you a bit of insight or reassurance in how to deal with symptoms of dissociation if that's what you're going through. I know it can be very, very tricky, very difficult. It can literally feel sometimes as if the more you're trying to recover, the deeper the hole is that you're digging for yourself. I know that, I've been there. But sometimes having little metaphors in your mind just like this can kind of help you know exactly how to deal with it. So if you're looking for any other resources and if you're struggling with dissociation or anxiety, just have a look at my, description of this video. I'll put some links there for you to explore. And I hopefully will see you guys on my next video. Bye, have a lovely day.